Join me this October where I'll be celebrating Halloween. 31 zine reviews in 31 days. Joining me will be my friend Beanie. Welcome to another edition of Halloween. Beanie, how are you doing today? There's only a few days left.
Tired?
You're tired? It's been a long month. Today, we are reviewing the Forced Primordia, which is a Troika adventure that is published by Exalted Funeral. Let's read about this adventure. It's got a hex crawl through a sphere forgotten by time and abandoned by the gods. It is home to a wild and treacherous forest where chaos fairies party, drunken trees roam, and reverse lighting erupts from the soil. A dungeon crawl through the crumbling ziggurat, guarded by a cohort of depressed mechanical knights. A village that eats its god every night. It's actually rather idyllic. 11 new backgrounds, 6 new spells, 7 new items, new enemies, randomizers for backstories, a curated 6-hour playlist for immersive adventuring, a chaos lord, 6 to 12 plus hours of science fantasy role-playing, a little bug named Zep. Cool. Let's jump in. So it is written by J.A. Kordosh, illustrated by J.A. Kordosh, Eric Schrenkengost, and David B. Norton. Cover illustration by Michael Rybaltchenko. Michael Rybaltchenko. Dungeon map by Jeremiah Gaod. Hex map by Eric Schrenkengost, and edited by David Kordosh. And playlist curated by Sean Ingram. So lots of playtesters that also helped out. Here's some of their social medias, which I'll put in the description of the video. But let's begin. We got the setting up the adventure, what the adventure is, and then after the adventure. Okay, let's read a note from the author, just at least a little bit of it. A few things in the adventure, like Miniferous Vank's charming, indulgent ways of chaos fairy stats are quite clear. Other things are less so. For instance, why is Sir Alisar the shy knight automatic, staring into a portal of chaos energy, the bane of his existence? I encourage you to make what you will of the details that lie ahead, both seemingly true and purposefully murky. There's a lot to dive into here. Monocubes, aroma merchants, abysmal myth crushers, galloping rainbows. Chaos knows it's not. So, sorry, I missed that. Although I'd like to believe this is my adventure, chaos knows it's not. Okay, so music of the spheres. That's the playlist, and I assume on the PDF there's probably a link here, maybe a QR code in the next edition. So what's the main story? Shipwrecked adventurers search for a source of energy to power their way off a lost, nameless sphere. So here's some supporting stories. Miniferous Vank, a scheming devotee of chaos, gleefully willing to sacrifice anything to resurrect Zargastos Goronga, a long-forgotten god. A village of dreamers and artisans living off the literal fat of that god's soulless shell of a body. A cohort of mechanical knights whose faith has been eroded by their tedious millennia-long vigil. Dr. Actura Volgo, an intrepid traveler determined to experience the wildest aspects of the omniverse. Character creation. So roll and select from the many backgrounds in this adventure, or in the Troika Numinous edition, which I've featured in my interview with Daniel Sell, which I'll link up here. The barge party enjoys the high life before the Emerald Vault crashes. Afterward, they must find an energy source or risk being stranded or devoured by a god. From here, they will likely go to the village, but may head into the forest first. And then there is the village. A lovely place to unwind, gather info, and make some real friends. If they do make friends, their choices will become even more consequential once Zargastos is freed. Then there's the forest hex. Randomizer bliss, get weird, let the serendipity of random dice rolls weave a plot that you would never imagine. Chaos rules here. The ziggurat, the last hex on the map, is where the party embarks on a classic dungeon crawl. There's rare treasure, high drama, swift death, and a dangerously powerful source of energy. And finally, the end, the denouement, are provided to help wrap up the adventure, or feel free to create your own. Here are some backgrounds. Rolls 2d6 to discover the role in the adventure. So here we've got the way of the stick. The stick is forever. It was waiting for you when you descended from the highest of the planes to low reality. For now, the instrument is yours. You use it to seek balance as best you can. Abysmal myth crusher. You have emerged from a granite interminable darkness with a single purpose: dispel many illusions plaguing the omniverse. Mindseed revelator. You gather them up, the seekers, the dream children, the wishers of the new. With decades of hard-won wisdom, you guide them into the realms within a field of boundless joy and pits of deepest sorrow. Soulbroker gun savior. Once you had a calling, a deity to worship, a community to serve, a mission to uphold. Tragedy struck and everything was shattered. You can no longer remember who or what you venerated. Amnesiac aristocrat. What was it again? Duke of this, lady of that. It's so hard to keep track of these things. Surely you were something before. Look at this jewelry. So short-term memory loss, a dream scar night after awakening from the dream. Nothing was the same. Reality and fantasy, death and life, everything you mingled together. Whether you were asleep or awake, after years of torment, you discovered and joined the Order of Blurred Edge. Amorosi artisan cross wanderer. You love folk and their simple ways, but the village of Amoros was not enough for you. Once your craft was your sole purpose, no more. You are a wanderer. Here's an ex-pleasure barge host captain. You've served them well. The chittering duchess, the swollen knights, the sardonic princes. You deciphered their secret and hierarchies, little big games, and best of all, their deepest desires. But you've been a servant long enough. It's time to set sail in the mirrormind skies for yourself. Ironclad harmonist, pandemic splendorist, and living lab. That looks like an interesting one. You had to ensure full control over your experiments. No short-sighted patrons or fool institutions could ever stymie your work. It's unclear to you why none of your fellow scientists have followed in your footsteps. It's also unclear why everyone keeps looking at you like that. Well, your focus remains the wonders of the body and little else. The possession is your labora body, so that's kind of funny. Here's some new spells, items. My dry winter hands. Here is the prologue and some backstory randomizer. Let's just choose one. 6. Mindseed reunion with friends on a mountain sphere, Menomia. You perceive the system behind reality. Draw on this insight to roll 2 times for any action, taking whichever result, 1 use, and gain D3 mind seeds. Aboard the barge, once again, that's kind of what we talked about earlier, the party barge. Here's some random encounters on the barge. And the captain, Miniferous Vank, has vanished. Here's the explanations. So if you look at the map, you've got the beginnings, and then you've got the forest here, and then you've got the fairy rings as mentioned here, and so there's multiple different types of forest, and then the ziggurat here, and that is the alabaster beach at the beginning. And this is the village that eats its god every night. And some description of the village, some village encounters, and villagers of note, gossip, rumor, and idle talk, and random villagers. So you've eaten some god meat. And so you test your luck. If you eat a slice of god meat, and any who fail will immediately vomit and fall unconscious. D3 hours. Roll to determine their dream. Here's the dream randomizer. You think we should do that? We should probably do that. Let's figure out what our dreams are. You soak in a cask adorned in in the skin of Gom, the chaos lizard. Sickened, you can't eat provisions for 2 days. Here's the modifier. A hero of law stares with sunken eyes, vapor rising from their open wound. Here is two easy to insert encounters that can change the pace of the story. Instants aid the party, and interrupts impede them. So I always actually, I've been kind of working on something similar to that, based upon the time, sometimes you need a push or a nudge in the right direction or something to slow them down. So that's, I like the way they phrase that. Here is the forest Primordia. Here's weather once a day. Chaos fairies and their attitude. Chaos spider, electric ghost, code of the mad, slug spawn. Navigating the forest. There are 2d6 circle wood encounters, ghostway encounters, and bogmire encounters. Here is the side quest encounter. Is only found as a result if you are on the right hex. I guess I probably should have also said spoiler alert at some point. So here's the challenge at the Ghost Monk. They chant during a reverse lightning storm. And then here is a drunken tree. And here is the deconstructed ziggurat at the end of the adventure. So this is where the dungeon it takes place, the dungeon crawl. There's an entrance, a jailer's chamber, the jail, a corrupted statue, and navigating the ziggurat. Here's some mood randomizers, and here's a isometric map. So you've got the correlating number 1, 2, 3, etc. It's a nice looking map. More descriptions of the different numbers going up to 9 on this page. And then finally, Zargastos Garanga. Oh, once again, Troika names have always befuddled me when you're reading them, at least. You kind of gloss over them when you're reading them in your mind, but when you have to say them out loud, I trip up continuously. So always apologies for that. Here is the soul in the battery. And that's the floating battery. And betrayal of Garanga and Zargastos. And the path of destruction. Once he's eaten the village hex, the Chaos Lord devours the circle woods. Oh, so that's like DEFCON 4. What happens at the end, possibly, if the players aren't successful. And then an epilogue. So Zargastos devours the entire party, and the long denied god is denied no longer. So here's all the results and some potential outcomes, and then some adventure hooks if you want to continue in this world of how you can keep on keeping on. And thanks for playing. So cool. That is a fun little Troika adventure. Definitely is got the Troika vibe to it, and pretty comprehensive adventure if you need to throw that into any of your Troika worlds. And there, lots of ways to get in there and add to it. So once again, if you have not entered the Daiku Games draw on October the 31st for Halloween, go visit daikugames.com to do that.
Happy Halloween, ladies.